We're gonna
I,
do things a little differently tonight. We're gonna start with the movement and the sit. So why don't we come to stand? Let's just take a moment to ground ourselves in our new posture. Feeling the feet. Feeling the earth beneath the feet. Feeling roots growing down from your feet into the earth. And then imagine the body growing up like plants so often do, reaching toward the sun. Lifting tall and feeling how that elongation of the body makes space for breath, and just become aware of the breath. We'll take a few gentle breaths with movement, just bending down a little bit, crossing the hands at the wrists, and inhaling and lifting the arms up, and exhaling the arms down, bending in the knees and lowering a bit, and just scooping up the energy of the earth. And releasing down. Just coordinating quietly. And then just one more here. Letting the arms just rest by your side. And then we're going to slowly lift the right knee and the left arm. And then flexing the foot, push down as you lower, like you're really pushing something down into the earth. And then we'll switch. Left knee, right arm, the foot is flexed, and there's a sense of pressure as you release down. Just continue, coordinate with your breath. See if you can notice the point of contact when the foot returns back to the ground. Sometimes we pay close attention while we're balancing, and there's just the slightest bit of checking out once we feel stable and the foot is back down. So use that sensation of the foot touching down to maintain and strengthen the mindfulness. Feeling the weight shifting from one foot to the other. And it's a slow movement going with the pace of your breath. Let's do one more on each side. And then just stand, feeling, taking in sensation, feet, breath. And then come and bring the hands up by the shoulders, making gentle fists with the hands. We're going to start moving more rapidly now, bringing the energy up in the body. As we inhale, we're going to reach the arms up and straighten the hands. And as we exhale, we bring the hands back down. Now, we're going to do this fast, but only as fast as you can do it without losing the coordination of the breathing and the movement. So it's up, down, in, out, inhale up, exhale down. Rapid kind of staccato breath. See if you can get faster. Denise is going like a machine there. Excellent. Now inhale, hold the breath, make fists and press the fists against each other. And then pull up from the base of the spine, pull up from the navel, pull up from the throat, press the tongue up to the roof of the mouth and roll the eyes up, holding the breath as long as you can. And when you need to exhale, not necessarily now, but whenever you need to exhale, just release over slightly bent knees, hanging the body over the thighs, relaxing the arms, relaxing the head. And then clasp the hands behind the back of the head. And then apply a little pressure with the hands toward the back of the head and down toward the floor. And then notice when you breathe, where you feel the movement of the breath. Notice what happens on the exhale. See if there's any letting go. And then roll up slowly with soft knees, keeping the hands behind the back of the head. And then once you're up, reach your elbows back and look up. Good. And then press the hands up to the sky, keeping the hands clasped. And then bend to the left. Close your eyes. Press down into your right foot. Feel the deep, slow breath opening up space in the body. Inhale up, reach up. Exhale, hips left, arms and torso right. Sinking down. Inhale up. Exhale, bend forward one more time, this time with the legs straight and the arms down. And then just rock a little bit from the toes to the heels. Noticing if you coordinate the movement with the breath automatically. If so, where the inhale comes, where the exhale comes. Good. Come to center, find stillness. And then soften the knees, tuck the chin, roll yourself up, reaching up with an inhale. And bring the hands together at the heart as you exhale. Seeing how you feel, what you feel, who you are. And then release the hands. And then come and sit back down. Finding your meditation position as Bettina guides us.
So just notice how it feels. You have done the mindful movement and the effects that it's had on your body. And then just allow the energies to settle as you sit down, coming into stillness now. And just notice for a moment what you've brought with you today to the meditation, to the sit. Noticing what it feels like in your body. Tuning in to the quality of the heart and the mind. And welcoming everything in, welcoming yourself, welcoming all the sensations, thoughts, and feelings into the sit with you. And imagine that you're being held by the earth so fully that you can generate a sense of safety in your being and just really allow yourself to settle in, seated on this earth. Imagining that you're growing roots down into the body through your sit bones. And sensing yourself as solid and stable and grounded as you're coming into your practice. And with the lower part of your body fully grounded, find a little bit of a lift through the crown of your head. Perhaps noticing the vertebra in the spine separating from one another, creating some space. Feeling a lift through the heart center as well. And at the same time, relaxing the eyes and facial muscles. Relaxing your shoulders, your arms, and your hands. And feeling the belly soft. The breath flowing in and out of the belly at ease, and it's in its own rhythm. So you don't need to interfere with the breath in any way. Just let it flow through in its own way, continuously softening the belly. Softening all the muscles in your body. And softening the heart center as well. And just noticing all the sensations currently active in your body. Noticing any tingling or swirling, burning, vibrating. Maybe even tuning into the temperature in the body, if there's a feeling of hot or cold, warmth or coolness. So just observing the whole body from the inside out with a sense of curiosity. Just being curious about what is here. And being curious about the breath as well and how the breath manifests in your body right this moment. Noticing whether it feels long or short. Noticing whether it feels relaxed and calm or more controlled. And beginning to notice where you can most easily feel the breath in your body. Perhaps the rise and fall of your belly or chest. Maybe a swirling and tingling in the back of the throat. The air moving in and out of the nostrils. Or the whole body breathing. Finding where it's most easy for you to feel your breath flowing in and out, and using that spot in your body as your anchor for the mind to rest. For the mind to rest in the sensations of breathing. And as you lightly and softly keep your awareness on your breath, you'll undoubtedly notice waves flowing through at the same time. Waves of sensations, of thoughts, of feelings. And for now, just simply allowing them to rise and fall like waves of the ocean around your breathing. Continuously finding your home in your breath. And allowing those other waves to stay in the background. And every once in a while, there might be a strong wave that pulls your attention away from your breathing. Maybe there's a strong sensation arising in the body. And you can just softly name the sensation to yourself. Burning, itching, tingling, throbbing. And as you name it, you can bring a sense of curiosity to the sensation. Perhaps noticing how it's changing over time as you keep paying attention. And there might be other waves that also feel strong, waves of an emotion, a feeling that might arise for you. Maybe there's a strong sense of fear or worry. Maybe there's a feeling of tuning out and not really being clear what's present, a sense of not wanting to be present to what's here. Or maybe you're rather feeling calm or peaceful. See if you can invite all those feelings in as if to invite in a guest into your house that is your body, offering it a cup of tea, and just being present to it and to what it wants to tell you. Perhaps you're noticing a stream of thoughts, a stream of endless thoughts, and the difficulty of being able to calm the mind. If that is so, observe if there is judgment present of wanting it to be otherwise. Maybe there's planning going on, or remembering, or judging, pushing away. See if you can relax around whatever is happening in your mind as well, and just be present to it, allowing it in just like another visitor. Saying hello with a sense of loving attention. Paying attention to sounds that might be coming in. And just noticing the reaction to the sounds as well. Is there judgment? Is there a sense of surprise? See if you can be playful with your responses towards your reactions that arise in the mind, towards whatever is present. It's all okay, it's all welcome. It's all here to teach us something. And also see if you can notice if there's an overall sense of pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral in the body and mind. And just softly name that to yourself, pleasant, unpleasant, or neither pleasant or unpleasant. Or maybe one of the 5 hindrances is knocking on the door, wanting to pay you a visit in this moment. Perhaps aversion, sensual pleasure, maybe sleepiness is present. Or a sense of restlessness and worry. maybe doubt. So many things can arise and want to pay us a visit once we come into stillness in the body. And our only job is really just to simply let it be here, let it arise. See, as while it's happening, if you can still stay connected to the body, to the breath, and just bring a mindful, loving attention to whatever arises. So you never really have to strain the mind or think, well, what am I supposed to do? It's all just coming up by itself. And your only job is really to watch it come and go, to allow it to be welcome and to stay as long as it needs to be here. So just settle in for the remainder of the practice. Just take your seat and just to be here, be present with whatever is here and enjoy the ride. See if the mind has pulled you so far away that you're not longer present. See if you can bring the mind back here, uniting it with the body, with the breath, with this moment. This breath. And for these last minutes of practice, see if you can really infuse your attention with a loving and caring presentness. Feeling the heart opening and softening a bit more to yourself. Just sitting here as if to bear witness to yourself, to your experience, to your heart, with a kind and loving attention.
Thank you, Bettina. Hmm. So the reason why we did the meditation first today was because I really needed it. I have been working for weeks on something that was due today, and it involved a lot of printing. And my first snafu was to discover that the paper ream that I had that came over with me when I moved a couple of weeks ago got wet in one of the rains and wasn't not that big of a deal, but minutes seems problematic, and I was fine. And then my printer ran out of ink, even though it was a fairly new cartridge. So I didn't make my deadline. And the important part about this is that I got really upset. I got really upset. And I don't often get thrown by those kinds of things. But what I realize is that when something upsets me, it's always because it's triggering something from childhood. So when I was a kid, I didn't have deadlines and printers and stuff like that. But there was a sense that it was not acceptable to make mistakes. And I felt like I had screwed up, and I was devastated. And then I realized there was fear because it wasn't safe to be wrong. And I really got thrown until I could recognize everything that was going on and get the helpful support from Bettina through it as well. Thank you. And so I wanted to change what I was going to say about the hindrances based on what happened to me today, because I don't presume that everybody grew up in a family where there was a lot of judgment, or perhaps worse than judgment, if you were less than perfect. But I think that we all have, to some degree, a pretty strong self-critic. And we get it from our family, or we get it from our culture, or we get it from our best friend when we were a kid. Something in our lives has instilled in us the idea that it's not okay to not be perfect. And I think that a lot of us bring that to our meditation, and we have a sense of being bad meditators when our minds wander, or when, the hindrances show up. And we can take them personally, and we can take the hindrances as a sense of failure in our practice. So I want to talk about it from that perspective and say, first off, that the hindrances are not personal. And I'm realizing now that not everybody was here last week, so I'll just briefly explain the hindrances. They're just 5 mindsets that tend to interfere with our stability of mind in meditation, or our peace in life, or our progress on the path to awakening. And those 5 are desire for sense pleasure, aversion, restlessness and fear, sloth and torpor, like heaviness, sleepiness, that kind of thing, and doubt. And we've all experienced these at one point or another, sometimes we're, overwhelmed with many of them at once. Desire arises, and there's aversion to the fact that there's desire, and then there's restlessness because you're agitated about the aversion, and blah blah blah. So these are states of mind that affect all of us, and we bring them up. They're included in the 4th foundation of mindfulness. So the Buddha taught there are 4 foundations of mindfulness. I'm not going to go into it. It's probably something we'll cover another day. But one of the foundations of mindfulness is the hindrances. And it's important to recognize the hindrances within the framework of the foundations of mindfulness, because it means it's one of the things to be mindful of. It's part of the path to awakening, to be mindful of the hindrances. So we can look at them as things that get in the way of the path, but we can also look at them from this perspective that when we shine the light of awareness on them, they're part of the path to awakening. And in that sense, they're as good as any other object of mindfulness. We can be in pain, we can be listening to the dog barking, we can be fantasizing, we can be arguing with our neighbor in our mind, we can be planning our day. Doesn't matter. Anything that we bring mindfulness to is on the path to freedom. So, number 1, the hindrances are not personal. Number 2, they're not. If you're aware that they're happening, then the predominant thing that's happening is awareness, not the hindrances. And as long as the predominant thing that's happening is awareness, there's a sense of wakefulness. There's a sense of not identifying with the experience. When you don't identify with the experience, then you're escalating your level of mindfulness to what Lori was talking about earlier. For those of you who were tuned in right before we started, this concept of non-self, this impersonal nature of things, where it's not me, 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 me. I'm not the star of this movie, right? There's all these things playing out on a screen, and I'm just in the audience watching. And life is so much easier when you're watching the movie than when you're starring in the movie. It's so much freer to just be able to say, oh yeah, there's these things called the hindrances, and this one is going on right now, and this one is going on, and I'm aware of all of it. This is the dance that's playing out on screen. Look at it. Let me be interested in it. Let me be curious about it. Oh, how did this hindrance arise? Well, there was something really pleasant that came into my experience purely by chance. And I wasn't really aware of it. And so desire started to take hold. Oh, okay, that's how that happened. Interesting. Or there was a noise that came that was really loud and it was unpleasant. And I didn't really catch the Vedana, unpleasant. I wasn't mindful of unpleasant in that sense enough that aversion didn't arise, because that's how it happens. When unpleasant is there, aversion arises. It's not personal. But when we bring mindfulness to it, we catch it, and then the hindrance doesn't arise. Or if we don't catch it soon enough, no problem. The hindrance arises, we still have an opportunity to catch it then. There's always an opportunity for mindfulness to creep in to the flow of conditions that are going. And then suddenly, it's not this swirling set of circumstances going on, taking over our mind. It's mindfulness, being aware. So the key is just that these things happen. It's no big deal. We don't take them personally. We run out of ink sometimes. The printer doesn't work sometimes. You know, the key is, can you be aware of what is triggered and what arises, and notice it with a sense of curiosity, with a sense of interest, and if it's something difficult, with a sense of compassion. So that's the third thing that I want to bring up. First is, these are not personal. Second is, you bring mindfulness to it and you're not trapped by it. You're free. And the third is that everything that happens is an opportunity to bring not just attention, but kindness and care and compassion. The Dalai Lama says, my religion is kindness. That's not different than saying my religion is Buddhism. The wings of Buddhism, as Bettina told us weeks ago, are wisdom and compassion. So we see something coming and there's that sense of wisdom that knows, this is not me, this is not mine, this is not personal, this is not about me. I can just bear witness to this experience. And the other wing comes in, and the flavor of attention that I can bring matters. So I can notice that there's a hindrance and I can be irritated. I can feel like, I'm such a bad meditator. My mind is so restless. Why doesn't my mind stop wandering? And now there's the hindrance of aversion as well. Or you can bring wisdom. Restlessness is happening. Okay, yeah, I see that. Boom, wisdom. I see that. This is restlessness. I'm naming it. I'm knowing it. I'm not identifying with it. Restlessness is present. Okay, what does it feel like? Oh, yeah, that feels uncomfortable. I don't like that at all. Oof. Yeah, and then maybe, like for me, when restlessness is present, I want to just hold it. I often will put my hand on my heart, or some kindness that says, okay, I see the restlessness and I meet it with care. You meet it with care. Last week, I introduced the idea that all the hindrances are the mind's strategy to avoid something difficult. So for me, when a hindrance arises, I will ask myself, what would I have to feel right now if this hindrance wasn't here? So if I'm falling asleep during a sit, I'll pay close attention to the sensation, and that might bring a sense of wakefulness, that interest to the sensation of the sleepiness might bring, maybe I'm aware, then investigate a little more. What's here underneath this? Now, yeah, maybe I just didn't sleep enough. Okay. But maybe there's something that I'm dulling out to not feel. So that's a question that I will often ask in the face of the hindrance. And I find that it's a good antidote to the hindrance because A, it brings in strong mindfulness, and B, it invites a sense of care. Like, I'm interested. I'm really wanting to know what's going on with me here. And I do it like, what the hell? Not like, what the hell's wrong with me? No, I do it with a sense of, okay, yeah, something's up. Something's up. What is that? What's here? And sometimes it'll take me someplace hard, someplace sad, or maybe not. Maybe, you know, the hindrance stays. But it's met with care. And really, that's the most important part, is to bring interest, to bring curiosity, to bring care. Those two wings, wisdom and compassion. And pretty much every single thing that arises, whether it's a hindrance, doesn't matter. That's our path. That's our path. Bring mindfulness to it. Investigate it. Be interested. How did this come to be? Why is this here? You know? Start to know how your mind works. Oh, yeah, I see. And be vigilant about your mindfulness so that those slips from, let's say, confusion don't find their way into a hindrance. Something happens and you're confused, and the next thing you know, doubt may arise. You know, this is why we keep ourselves on guard at the door of our awareness, so that when confusion arises, we can name, confusion. And then we're not lost in confusion and it doesn't fall into the hindrance of doubt or sloth and torpor. No, then there's, awareness, awareness of confusion. Awareness of confusion is awareness, not confusion. So this is the beauty of mindfulness, is that no matter what is happening, when we bring mindfulness to it, we of what's happening from the object of what's happening to the presence of the knowing. And then in the knowing, there's freedom, there's choice. there's ability to decide, how do I want to respond? A great meditation master was asked to sum up the entirety of the benefits of Buddhist practice in one sentence. When we're aware of what's happening, we can respond skillfully. We can respond kindly. So I really just saw the whole trajectory of my experience today of getting really upset and then being curious about it, being able to understand, oh yeah, there's fear here. There's fear because there wasn't a safety in my childhood to be flawed. And then I can bring care to that. And then it was okay. It was okay. And then recognizing, this is the path to how to deal with the hindrances too. That it's helpful. And we'll take a little bit of a break. And it's 7:37. Bettina will be pleased with me and my timekeeping tonight. And let's come back at 7:43, and then Bettina will guide us and counsel. And keep your videos on, and I mean, keep your connection, and then just you're welcome to stop video and come back in 5 minutes. And if you need to eat something and bring it back with you, you're welcome to. Mm.
While we're waiting for everyone, I just wanted to introduce what gives me sensual pleasure at night, which is a hot chocolate. And so, so I can ask myself, what am I trying not to feel? I've never done that. I suppose I ought to, but this is my lightly ritual, hot chocolate, and it never keeps me up though in some way. So it's very soothing. I recommend it. If not at night, maybe sometime in the day. We're just waiting for Denise and Mike to rejoin us. And Sandra is here. I just wanted to say hi because I hadn't seen you in a while. It's so good to see you. Yeah. So now that we're all back, we'll start the council practice. And I have also been reflecting on the 5 hindrances. And thank you, Z. That was a very beautiful, heartfelt talk. I really, yeah, it was very beautiful, very compassionate towards yourself and compassionate to share it with us from your own experience. Thank you. And I find it very encouraging that even the Buddha on the night of his enlightenment was visited by all these hindrances all at once. As a matter of fact, he was bombarded that auspicious night that he sat down under the Bodhi tree in what's nowadays called Bodh Gaya in India. And he sat down and resolved not to rise from his seat until he would reach full enlightenment. And as the story goes, he was basically visited all night by Mara, which in Buddhism is the embodiment of ignorance and delusion. He was visited by all kinds of violent and aggressive images in his mind. He was visited by all kinds of seductive visions of heavenly pleasures. And I'm sure they were a lot stronger than a hot chocolate. They were basically descriptions of naked women dancing in front of him in his mind, trying to pull him off his seat, saying, no, you're not going to get enlightened tonight. But what's amazing about the night is basically this one line in the description of what happened that night that highlights basically the transformative power of mindfulness practice for all of us. So the Buddha is sitting with these powerful forces, which are exactly the same forces that we're facing in our meditation, the 5 hindrances. And it said that, and the mind of the great being was not moved. With all the forces coming at him, the mind of the great being was not moved. So this image of the Buddha being bombarded with all the hindrances and the mind of the great being was not moved, to me is such a powerful expression of a free mind. And even though we might not be there ourselves right now, we just know we can have faith that as we continue our sitting practice day after day, or as often as we can, we will have more and more moments of enlightenment. Maybe it's not an ultimate final enlightenment, but there will be more and more moments when the mind will remain still, even in the face of all the hindrances coming at us. So this is really, to me, a great inspiration for how we can free our mind if we are persistent with this practice, that the mind of the great being was not moved. I often reflect on that. So we can ask ourselves, what forces in the mind have the power to disturb the mind? How is the mind seduced? And this can happen, we can watch that in our meditation, or we can watch that in our daily lives. So for tonight's council practice, I just wanted to have us do our own investigation for a moment. So just simply beginning by closing our eyes. Again, you don't have to assume a meditation posture, just wherever you are, just let your eyes close. And simply bring to mind what feels challenging in your life at the moment. Something that has been challenging you as of late or in this moment that you can connect with. And as you're calling up this challenging situation, what is your habitual way of how the mind wants to respond to this challenge? How does your mind normally react in the face of a challenging situation? Is it with fear, aversion, craving for something pleasant, perhaps sleepiness, tuning out? Maybe it's restlessness or worry, maybe doubt. Just reflect on your mind and how it normally responds to difficulty, responds to a challenging situation. And when you feel ready, you can gently open your eyes again. And if you feel comfortable tonight, if you would like to share from the heart about what is challenging in your life at the moment, and perhaps sharing with us the habitual ways of how your mind reacts to the challenge. And maybe thinking of our mindfulness practice, what you can bring to the situation that's different than the habit, that feels beneficial and wholesome in terms of how you respond to this challenge that's present.